Look at the weather.
It's beautiful here.
Non-stop rain.
Oh, man, it is a blazer out there.
It's cold and it's shivery.
It is cold.
Really coming down here.
I really enjoy your weather reports.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, we're talking weather in a whole new way. From historical events to what's coming up, plus weather news, science, safety, fun facts, and more.
I like where this is going.
This is Weather Weekly. Weather Weekly with Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey.
Hey, welcome back. Good to be with you here. Episode number 25 of Weather Weekly here. First week of August. Just flying by. Here we go. And it was an interesting past week. We'll get to headlines here in just a bit. Hopefully you're having a fantastic opening week to the month of August. The weather here in central Indiana is about as good as it gets. It is wonderful. We've had well below average temperatures. The humidity has been extremely low. Yeah, it's been really nice across our area. So hopefully you are able to get out and enjoy it here. It looks like this trend's going to kind of continue here. We'll talk more about the forecast coming up at the end of the podcast. I want to get some quick local headlines. First, last Thursday night, so that would have been, the date would have been July 29th, had a couple of tornadoes in central Indiana, both of the EF1 variety, both of them in Shelby County. I'm reading directly from the National Weather Service storm reports. They went out Friday morning and checked out a couple of these damage paths. This was in rural Shelby County. The first one was just south of Shelbyville and just southwest of I-74, kind of near the town of Waldron in Shelby County. This one rated an EF1, peak winds of 90 miles per hour. The path length was 2.5 miles, not on the ground very long, and it was about a 50-yard width. From the Weather Service's report, first tornado of the day initially began as a funnel cloud over Shelbyville with roof damage to a building across the southeastern part of town. Funnel cloud continued until it touched down northwest of a small subdivision off County Road 250 East. There, it damaged numerous trees, damaged support beams on a porch. A masonry wall was also knocked down. Tornado continued to the southeast, where it caused tree damage to a home on County Road 350 South. The most extensive tree damage would occur along County Road 375 East, near 500 South, where two homes and widespread tree damage, along with an antenna pole that was snapped. Tornado then lifted in a field to the southeast. The damage path was not always clear at all times, but it appears that the tornado was either on the ground or just off the ground through the duration. That was number one. Number two, this was just south of Waldron, also rated an EF1. 90 mile per hour winds, wasn't even on the ground for a mile. It was about 3/4 of a mile, 50-yard width. No injuries, no deaths, and that's the case in both of these. Short-lived tornado initially touched down near a river cabin and caused a narrow but intense swath of tree damage along County Road 500 East. The tornado then crossed the Flat Rock River, where it impacted the Van Pelt Cemetery. Several gravestones were knocked over by the tornado, with additional tree damage on the property. The tornado may have briefly lifted before touching down again in a field to the south. So that is the two tornadoes that we had here in central Indiana. So kind of an active week last week. That came with a line of storms, a little cold front, which initially then brought in the very comfortable air that we started tapping into that Friday and then into the weekend and beyond. It's also good to note here that while the storms did bring two tornadoes, it did bring some gusty winds and heavy rain. Flash flooding was also reported in parts of southern Shelby County and northern Bartholomew County because of the heavy rain with some of those storms. So pretty active stuff. We have put the wraps on the month of July. So I want to kind of do a quick recap of the where we stood climate-wise. 56th coolest on record, so kind of on the cooler end, but you're in the middle of the road there. Remember, we have about 100 and some years and change of record keeping dating back to the late 1800s. So 56 kind of puts us on the front end of the middle on coolest end. So it wasn't extraordinary, but it's noteworthy. And 22nd wettest on record in Indianapolis. So one of the wetter ones we've had. It's a top 25 wet one, and that really kind of stemmed from the heavy rain that we had early in the month, just soaking rains that really kind of filled in across much of the state. Just kind of reading through the report here. Indianapolis International Airport average temperature for the month of July, 74.9. That is down 0.9 degrees from normal. And the hottest temperature was 91 on the 26th. Lowest temperature, 56 on the 3rd. Indianapolis daily average temperatures were above normal on 11 days, at normal 5 days, and below normal on 15 days. It tied for the 56th coolest, as I mentioned, and records were back since 1871. Their precip kind of run through here. July 2021, wetter than normal across most of central Indiana, although rainfall frequency was near normal. So we had the normal amount of days. But when we got some of that rain, it just came down in buckets. Greatest events were on the 1st and during the 8th through the 16th before a drier second half of the month. Although a few locally moderate heavy rainfalls did occur between the 23rd and the 29th, the month started wet on the 1st with the soaking rain through the AM hours for most locations, resulting in a storm total of 4.18 inches near Martinsville and Morgan County. Several other totals over 3 along the Owen-Monroe County line, and in Columbus, that's Bartholomew County. Of course, we had numerous reports of flash flooding over roads and in low-lying areas. Those were received from Clinton County, Frankfort, and to the west side of Indianapolis. Also, a section of Indiana Route 32 washed out in eastern Fountain County. That was the big one. So we just got off to a really, really wet start across our area. 6.34 inches officially in Indianapolis. That's on the plus side of 1.91 inches. Wettest day, as I mentioned, the 1st in Indianapolis, 2.78. Longest dry stretch was 6 days between the 18th and the 23rd here in Indianapolis. We mentioned some of the high numbers. Shelbyville, 7.38 inches total of rain. And their highest total, 2.3 inches on the 16th of July. The only reporting station that was down was Eagle Creek. And this kind of just proves to you how sometimes these summer thunderstorms can be so hit and miss. Eagle Creek is not very far. I'd say maybe 5-6 miles away from the airport. So the airport was on the plus side of nearly 2 inches. Eagle Creek was in the negative of 0.19 inches. So they had 4.10 for the entire month of July. The most was 1.57 inches on the 1st. So that was over an inch, about an inch and a quarter less than what the airport actually picked up on that same day. So just some interesting notes here from the month of July. Severe weather-wise, it was pretty quiet. I mean, we did end with the 2 EF1 tornadoes I mentioned. Really only confined to 4 days. Flash flooding, obviously, was kind of the big thing. No severe hail, 1 inch in diameter, was reported for the month. That's interesting. July 8th featured several marginally strong to severe midday to afternoon thunderstorms ahead of a slowly approaching cold front. A microburst left wind damage along a 4-mile path between Homer and Rushville. That's in Rush County. Significant damage to a home's roof and sidewall, destroyed or damaged several farm or buildings and trees, and blew debris 100 yards to the east. Just as the microbursts diminished, the same storm continued across Rush County, breaking power poles and downing trees in Rushville before downing large tree limbs and flattening crops near North Salem. Later in the afternoon, a strong storm dropped penny-sized hail near North Vernon in Jennings County. The other day, outside of the 29th, which we already mentioned, was July 15th. Scattered late-day thunderstorms damaged a barn roof in Bringhurst, that's in Carroll County, so in north central Indiana, and downed trees in Quincy, Owen County, that's southwestern Indiana. Before the storm's leading edge intensified while approaching the Indianapolis area, trees were down both near Avon and in Plainfield and Hendricks County, just to the west of Indianapolis, with tree branches down in Trafalgar, that's in Johnson County. Then on the 16th, several rounds of late-day showers and storms included a few strong cells. However, the only damage report was of small limbs down by winds in Odin, that's in Davies County. So that's kind of the quick summary of the month of July here in central Indiana. Nationally speaking and internationally speaking, it's been very quiet. It looks like they're starting to get some of the wildfires under control. Not all of them out west, and because of that, we have still dealing with some of the haze and smoke around our area, especially with the northwest flow that's coming in. The Atlantic has been extremely quiet. There are no issues in terms of what's to come down the pipe. I'm just checking with the Hurricane Center here and have not seen anything in terms of new development. There's a 10% chance on a little wave that has moved off the coast of Africa as we're recording this on a Monday, August 2nd. 20% chance in formation over the next 5 days. So 10% in 48 hours, 20% in 5 days. That's pretty low. The Eastern Pacific is pretty busy just southwest of Baja, Mexico. You have 3 systems here. Ignacio is a tropical storm. Hilda is a hurricane. And then you have a disturbance just to the south and west of there, 60% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours. So what's interesting, and according to AccuWeather.com, that you may get with these 3 storms, you may get some interaction, what's called the Fujiwara effect. Basically, that is for lack of a better term, it's when you have these tropical systems that are spinning and moving and they are close to each other, they kind of interact with each other. And so they do a little dance. And so that can alter their trajectory on where they're heading and may quickly intensify one or more of the storms. But the good news is it looks like they're all moving out to sea. We'll have to watch Hilda. Hilda is kind of on a line forecast-wise that it could be looking to Hawaii, but it's still several hundred miles away by this weekend, Saturday. And a lot can happen. It does have it weakening by then to more of a tropical depression. So that's really all that's been happening out in the tropics here. Very quiet here as we are right in the heart of hurricane season. July and August and September really can be typically very busy. And again, remember, forecasts have been calling for above average numbers here. Not like last year when we had record-setting numbers, but above average numbers certainly could be in the cars. All right, stay with us. We're going to have much more here on Weather Weekly right after this.
Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire. You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
Welcome back to Weather Weekly, episode number 25. Since we're kicking off the new month here, I always like to kind of, especially when the weather pattern has been very quiet. We talked about the tornadoes here in Shelby County, but overall it's been not super active here across much of central Indiana and much of the Midwest. I always kind of like to look back in history, especially here in central Indiana, on what has happened here for the month of August. August can be kind of a rough month here. You still can get your storms, although a lot of times you get you kind of get stuck in a rut here. This is when droughts can start to form a little bit. So it's you can get severe weather at any point. But certainly, I mean, we're in the hot summer months, so anything can happen. Average high temperature for the month of August, 84 degrees. Average low at around 65 for the month. Some records that may be of interest to you. Hottest day for the month of August is 103. 103. That was set back in 1918. That would have been August 5th. Looks like we hit 100, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in the month of August. Lowest temperature for the month was 41. That was on the 29th back in 1965. So that's interesting. 41's pretty cool in the middle of summer. That's in Indianapolis. You'd have to assume that maybe some of the outlying areas you could have had maybe some 30s. So that's pretty intense. Coldest temperature, average temperature, 67.5. That was back in 1915. That's the coolest August. The driest, 2010, 0.37 inches of rainfall. Let's see. Warmest was 80.5. Again, that's average temperature, 1936. And the wettest, 1980. We had 8.34 inches of rainfall. So, again, don't typically get a ton of rain. Average precip for the month, 3.20. It makes for just doing quick math here, the 7th wettest. So it's on the back half of amount of precipitation that we get. It's only a tenth more than, not even a tenth more, 0.08 of an inch more than what we typically pick up in January. And actually, we see more precipitation in the month of November than we do for the month of August. The driest month that we have is February. The next driest will be next month. That's September, 3.14 inches of rainfall. So, some things that are noteworthy here that happen in the month of August. Let's see. 1979, August 1st, south of Mooresville, severe thunderstorm winds overturned 2 mobile homes and damaged several others. 1991, on August 3rd, an F1 tornado briefly touched down south of Vincennes. 2004, EF0 tornado touched down near Bloomington on August 4th. I guess I should say F4 or F1, F0, because the EF scale was not in existence in those years. 2009, August 4th, severe thunderstorms brought tennis ball size hail, damaging winds, small tornado to central Indiana. 1988 at Seymour, lightning strikes a utility pole, travels down the power lines, and blows the rate box off a house. Wow. That's pretty intense. There's a bunch here. Some of them aren't all that exciting. 1977 across Park County. Locally heavy rains of 6 to 8 inches fall during August 7th and 8th. Total damage caused by the resultant flooding is estimated at $750,000. That was back in 1977. 1975, August 13th, near Avon, a tornado touches down in a mobile home park, destroying 3 mobile homes. In also 1975, the next day, August 14th, about 3 inches of rain in an hour in Bloomington creates flooding issues for the city. Cars are stranded in high water on State Road 37. Let's see. Going down the list here. 1993 at Cloverdale, over 11 inches of rain fell on August 17th. Doe Creek sweeps away 2 houses, 11 inches of rain. August 18th, 1995, heat wave nears its end across central Indiana with heat index values between 100 and 115. In 1990, on August 20th, severe thunderstorms bring a variety of severe weather to central Indiana, including baseball-sized hail at Lasantville and a weak tornado at Indianapolis. In 1936, at Indianapolis, the high temperature on August 22nd reached 101. This marks the 12th time in 1936 that the temperature reached 100 degrees, which is a record of times in a year for the city. 12 days that we hit 100 or higher. I need to go and look. Maybe I can kind of quickly do this here. On the last time we hit 100 degrees here in Indianapolis, it's been several years. I would guess it's been at least 7, maybe 8 years. Only saying that because I've been at Wish TV. I've been at Wish TV for 6.5 years, and I'm fairly certain that we have not hit 100 degrees since I've been here. We're looking right now. Well, now I stand. Ooh, am I looking at the right place? I'm not. Stand by. We're looking right now. But again, I would venture to guess that it's been at least 7 years since we've had that. All right, checking the statistics as we speak. The last time, 2012, so I was off by a couple of years. It's been 9. We did have 9 days that we hit 100. The year prior, 2011, we did it twice. But then we went through a pretty lengthy stretch again from 2012 to 1988, it looks like, where we had no days above 100 degrees. But we have not had a day over 100 since 2012. We did it 9 times there. And again, I just mentioned 1936 is the record of 12 days. So that's a lot. What else do we have here? In 2002, August 23rd, tornado briefly touches down at the Putnam County Fairgrounds, destroys 1 horse stable, and damages 1 other building. 1997, on August 24th, at Trafalgar, baseball-sized hail falls. 1887, August 25th, at Indianapolis, the record low temperature for the date is set at 49 degrees. Well, this one's interesting. August 26, 1986, at Whitestown, thunderstorm winds at a house blow open the back door and shatter a window. And get this, then blow open the refrigerator door and empty its contents, while a 30-pound beagle is thrown off a couch and out the front door. That was 1986 in Whitestown. 1978, August 27th, heavy rain at Anderson caused the theater roof to collapse. And finally, August 31st, 1875 at Indianapolis, the wettest summer, June, July, August, on record for the city, wraps up with a total 3-month stretch of 28.99 inches, so essentially 29 inches of rainfall. So you are darn close to averaging 10 inches of rainfall per month. That's pretty rough. That was set back in 1875. So some interesting things can happen in August. It's not one of the higher months that we have for severe weather. We're kind of at a stage now where, and again, you can get severe weather any time of the year. And I always want to stress that. When I go to schools, when I was allowed to go to schools before COVID times, I would always stress that that there's never been a month that we've not had a tornado. But August does seem to be kind of on the lower end. Obviously, you would expect January, February, December, November to be on the lower end of things. Just looking at some of the stats through the 2010s, August was primarily on the low, if not zero end, between 2010 and 2015. And if I just want to look back, I'm kind of reading all of this on the fly for you. Nothing in 2000. It looked like we had 5 in 2001, 2 in 2002, 4 in 2003, 1 potentially in 04, 1 in 05, 0 in 06, 1 in 07, 2 in 08, and 2 in 09. So, very limited. And again, that's just for central Indiana. That's not the entire state. But that is for central Indiana, not a typically busy severe weather month. However, September is interesting because it can spike. All right, because you get into September and October, you're getting in a transitional phase. It's a lot like the spring, and we usually think about severe weather season as being the spring, right? March, April, May. And a big reason why we've got a lot of more action in the springtime is because you are coming out of chilly, cold winter, and you're transitioning to hot and humid summer. So now you're kind of doing the opposite here, and it is a transitional period. So that can help ramp up severe weather threats in those months. You remember one of the biggest outbreaks that we've ever had in this state was back in 2013. We had 30 tornadoes in central Indiana on November 17th. So, things can happen. So don't let your guard down. And again, I think it's a good reminder here. I brought this back up in the last podcast, but I probably will bring this up because this will, by the time this airs and this podcast drops, this date has already passed. So August 2nd. So I'm recording this on the 2nd. So it will be in act. Here is the WIA alerts that you get on your phone. And they will now be getting severe thunderstorm warning. Not all warnings, but what the Weather Service calls destructive and considerable damage threat categories. Those categories are destructive damage threat is at least 2.75 inch diameter baseball size hail and or 80 mile per hour thunderstorm winds. Warnings with this tag will automatically activate the wireless emergency alert, that's the WIA, on your smartphone. The criteria for considerable damage threat is at least 1.75 inch diameter golf ball size hail and or 70 mile per hour thunderstorm winds. This will not activate a WIA. The criteria for a baseline or base severe thunderstorm warning remains unchanged. 1 inch diameter hail, that's quarter size, and 58 mile per hour thunderstorm winds. This will also not activate WIA. When no damage threat tag is present, damage is expected to be at the base level. So here's some stats for you. On average, only 10% of all severe thunderstorms reach the destructive category each year nationwide. Most of these storms are damaging wind events such as derechos and some of the larger, more intense thunderstorms called supercell storms that can typically produce very large hail in their path. The new destructive thunderstorm category conveys to the public urgent action is needed. A life-threatening event is occurring and may cause substantial damage to property. Storms categorized as destructive will trigger a WIA to your cell phone. That is something, by the way, you can turn on and off. Of course, we often we often say, leave it on. You want to have multiple ways to get alerts. Another interesting stat here for you, because tornadoes always get all of the publicity, right, in the news cycle. 13 of the 22 costliest, so over half, 13 of the 22 costliest weather disasters last year, 2020, were severe thunderstorms. The new destructive tag would have activated a wireless emergency alert for many of these impactful events, including the costliest thunderstorm in U.S. history, the $11 billion derecho that affected Iowa in August of 2020. By the way, shameless plug, great podcast. You have to go back quite a way with my former intern, Kaylee Pluchel from Iowa. She was there covering those storms, and about the 6-month anniversary, she did that. We're coming up on a year now on that anniversary of the devastating derecho that hit Iowa. So check that out. It's a great podcast, and hopefully you give it a listen. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll have your first week of August forecast. That's coming up next here on Weather Weekly. All right, here's your forecast for the week of August 2nd, 2021. Boy, is it nice. Really, really good stuff. Of course, this drops here on Wednesdays, and getting through your Wednesday afternoon, I've got temperatures in the low 80s. The humidity should be relatively low, but there are some hints that we're going to start turning a little more muggy, with a more active pattern starting to slide back in here for the second half of the week. By Thursday, 84. That's closer to average, and we will bring in some higher humidity. Do have some scattered storm chances coming in by Friday at 83. And after all this relief and comfortable air, we bring back the heat by next weekend. Saturday, 87. Some scattered storms next Sunday, a high of 88. And I do think 90s return by next Monday. Looks like the national blend of models here does keep us into the upper 80s and low 90s all the way through the 12th, maybe even the 13th. So it is going to be active or very hot here as we start rolling into the middle of August. You knew this wasn't going to last very long. The 6 to 10 day outlook puts a high probability of above average temperatures and pretty moderate probability of above average precipitation. 8 to 14 day outlook, same thing. Good shot for very hot temperatures through the middle of the month and above average precipitation as well. So after kind of a nice break to end July and to open up the month of August, the summer heat back in a big, big way here through the middle of the month. My thanks to you here for joining us on this episode of Weather Weekly. You can catch all of my podcasts. I have 24 other ones here if you're wanting to get caught up that just kind of vary from different things on just what's going on, and some interviews as well. Love to hear your input on what you like, what you don't like, and what you'd like to hear. You can email me anytime at marcus.bailey@wishtv.com, or of course you can follow along on social media, Marcus Bailey Weather on Facebook and at Marcus Bailey on Instagram and the Twitter machine. We'd love to hear from you, so check it out. Also, thank you for spending some time here. We always appreciate your feedback and your time, taking time to listen to these podcasts. It is something we have come to enjoy doing here once a week. Hopefully you will join us on next week's episode of Weather Weekly. And while you're waiting, make sure to check out all the other great podcasts here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
Discover more from Storm Track 8 Weather and Wish TV. Online at wishtv.com and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook. Plus, be sure to check out more great podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.